How do you interpret functional medicine labs to create root cause resolution diagnoses? Dr. Jill Carnahan took us through her strategy on the Functional Forum.
So how many of you have seen fecal calprotectin as a marker for inflammatory bowel disease? That's pretty classic nowadays. In fact, most of your gastroenterologists, even if they aren't functional medicine trained, will test for that. But you know some other things here, and I'm going to go into each of those. So calprotectin is a marker that can be highly correlated to differentiate irritable bowel syndrome, your run-of-the-mill kind of irritable bowel that doesn't come from an inflammatory source, from the inflammatory bowel like Crohn's or colitis. And the specificity in patients is very, very high. So you can actually use this test to rule out someone who maybe doesn't need a scope. So again, if you have someone who has complaints, abdominal pain, bloating, gas, and you do this test, if you have a normal calprotectin, you can basically say with about 99% certainty that that patient does not have Crohn's or colitis and avoid a scope. However, in this patient, as expected, it was high. He's in a flare. And then calprotectin, we talked about, this is what it looks like. Now, the cutoffs for that, above 50 is high, but above 150 is really high. So 174 is extremely high. He's in a significant flare. And then the pancreatic elastase is a great marker. It's independent of pancreatic enzymes, so if the patient is taking enzymes, it's still accurate. It's a stool marker. And less than 200 is significant pancreatic insufficiency. So this patient was not digesting fats in his bowel at all. The significance of that is if you have problems with breaking down proteins or breaking down fats, those foods basically go undigested into the duodenum and feed the commensals. This often leads to SIBO, or small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or issues with the commensal bacteria. And at the end of this case, I'm going to tell you why that's really important. We did a culture, and his stool was positive for Klebsiella. You can see it 4+ there. Now, interestingly enough, and this is the sensitivity specificity for drug and herbal treatments. Now, interesting, Klebsiella can be a commensal. Now, by commensal, what I mean is things that normally reside in the gut and don't cause harm. But one of the main points of this case that I wanted to bring up to you is that commensals can trigger an immune response that, if left unchecked, can lead to autoimmunity and Crohn's and colitis. So these aren't always pathogens that we're dealing with. Sometimes we're dealing with commensals in excess, and it's all about the balance. So when you see a Crohn's and colitis patient, my job is to teach them, okay, with autoimmune disease, we know from Dr. Vasano there's 3 things, always. Genetic predisposition. You don't get the disease unless you have a predisposition handed down from our parents, as we learned from Sayer. And then second, an environmental trigger. Now, my job as a functional medicine expert is to look for triggers. So I tell them this. I say, I'm your personal detective, and I'm going to look for triggers that caused your disease. Now, if possible that we can find those and reverse those, you may go on and have a healthy life without issues at all. This is an organic acid test, another test I use to check the gut microbiome, and these are bacterial markers, and you can see one of them is elevated. And I did want to ensure that there was no fungal dysbiosis, so you can see the D-arabinitol is negative there. So you just had the bacteria.
Thanks so much for watching, and for more great clips like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel. I've created a special free video just for you. It's called the 5 Steps to Becoming a Leader in Your Wellness Community, and it'll give you some of the starting points on how to position yourself as the leader in your zip code of your health community. All you have to do is click on the link below.